Hello everyone and welcome to LEGO Star Wars Hot Takes episode 35. As always, if you have any hot takes or controversial opinions about LEGO Star Wars that you want me to discuss next week, make sure to go ahead and drop them down in the comments below. But jumping right into it, this first one's a good one. It comes from Jordy Jord. He says, hot take, in all caps, LEGO needs to just make a Droideka minifigure. And when you say Droideka minifigure, I assume you just mean an actual mold for a Droideka. And I mean, yeah, at this point, I think you're probably right. LEGO does just need to go ahead and make like an actual two-piece mold, I think, for a Droideka. I think just like a bottom piece of the legs and then a top piece that's the head and arms would work really well as a minifigure, and they just need to do that already, because over the past 25 years they've made who knows how many different variants of the Droideka that were all brick built, and I mean, some of them look alright, other ones look super ugly, and then there's other ones that are like really oversized and twice the size of a normal minifigure. And the most ironic thing is that I'm pretty sure the original one they made in 2002 is widely regarded by the community to be the best one, and the most recent one they've made last year in 2024 with the buildable Droideka is widely regarded to be the worst one. So it's kind of just ironic how in the past 25 years or however long the time span was, that the consensus of the community is that Droidekas have just gotten worse. And like your comment suggests, I think if they just made like a two-piece mold, it would definitely solve the problem. Moving on though, this next one comes from Churro to Bristol. I have no idea how to say your name, but he says, no turbo tank has been good, just the new one is so bad it makes the 2010 look godly. And well, I actually like how the new turbo tank looks. I mean, I've said this time and time again, but just from an aesthetic standpoint, it just looks pretty appealing to me at least. But that's obviously ignoring all the bad things about the set, like the price, the minifigures, and the structural integrity. Just the looks alone are pretty solid to me again. But I would never say that no turbo tank has been good. I think if you're looking for a really solid playset that has tons of features, the 2010 is pretty much right up your alley. And I think if you're looking for a very screen accurate and nice and compact model, the 2016 one comes in hand really nicely. Or if you just have nostalgia bias and want something retro, obviously the 2005 one is right up your alley. So yeah, no, I would never say that none of the turbo tanks have been good. I think really the newest one is the only one that's been actually bad. And in my opinion, I think the 2016 one is the best just because of its accuracy and its detail and its minifigures, and then the 2010 one is right behind it at second. Next up we have one from Just Eric. He says, hot take, I have Mandalorian fatigue, especially Grogu sets, plus the rumor about the UCS Mandalorian N1 Starfighter. And yeah, this is actually something I've started to talk about recently because I have Mandalorian fatigue too. I mean, they've made a Mandalorian set every year since the show came out, and some of them just feel so irrelevant. For instance, like the Bark Speeder Escape set from 2024, I mean, I guarantee most of you guys forgot about that one. And then the buildable Grogu from January this year, 2025, as good as that set is, it just did not need to be made. I mean, there was no reason to make a new buildable Grogu. And then in January of 2026, we're getting more. They're making a buildable Grogu 4+ set, and they're also making that Mandalorian speeder set. And then with the Mandalorian and Grogu movie coming out in May, they're just gonna make who knows how many more. It really seems like there's no end in sight. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I am kind of excited for some of them. Like, it's rumored that we're going to get a new AT-AT based off the AT-ATs that we're seeing in the Mandalorian trailer, and we're also most likely going to get a new Play Scout Razor Crest with the yellow markings as seen in the trailer too. And I am pretty excited for those sets, especially the AT-AT. But knowing all the countless sets they're most likely going to milk from this movie after it releases for the years to come is kind of just annoying to think about. And then about the UCS N1 Starfighter, I mean, I saw this coming. I made a video about a year ago in 2024 where I tried to predict every UCS set from like 2024 to 2030, I think. And in that video, I actually did predict a UCS Mandalorian's N1 Starfighter for May of 2026. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think it's going to be a really good looking model. Usually every $200 May UCS set is a good set, but it's just like, man, another Mandalorian set. So again, I mean, for the most part, I agree with you, and I think a lot of other people do as well. Again, there are a few sets I'm excited for, like the rumored AT-AT and the rumored new Razor Crest, and even the $10 Mandalorian speeder bike. I'm excited about that one just because they're making another $10 set again. But again, excluding those ones, knowing all of the random, irrelevant little sets they're going to try to milk out of this movie is pretty annoying to think about. Up next, we have one from Pixel Piece Productions. He says, hot take, brickheads are the worst idea LEGO has ever had. The designs are poor, it takes up a slot in the Star Wars wave every year, and overall, I think it just looks so lame. They should just get rid of them entirely and put a regular playset back in. And for the most part, I actually agree with you. I do not collect brickheads. I've never been interested in them. Even the Star Wars ones, I exclude them from all my videos. I don't include them in my rankings. I don't include them in my news videos. I kind of just pretend like they don't exist. However, at the same time, I feel like one thing a lot of people don't really understand about them is that brickheads are kind of their own entire separate theme. And in your comments, comment when you say it takes up a slot in the Star Wars wave every year. I don't think that's necessarily true because it's an entire separate theme. So in a sense, the Star Wars brickheads are taking up a slot in the line of brickheads every year, not in the line of Star Wars sets every year. Kind of like those Mosaic sets from a few years back, if any of you guys remember those ones. They made one of like Darth Maul and Darth Vader, and it's like, yeah, it's a Star Wars oriented set, however, it's from a completely different theme, being the Mosaic theme, so it's not really entirely a Star Wars set, and not really included in the lineup of Star Wars sets that released in that year. And brickheads are the same way, that's why I don't bat an eye at them. Like, people think brickheads are a sub-theme of Star Wars, like microfighters, or mini-scale sets, or helmet sets, or diorama sets, but that's not the case. Those sets I just mentioned are actual Star Wars sets in different sub-themes. Brickheads, on the other hand, are not a Star Wars sub-theme. They're an entirely different LEGO theme. It's kind of like comparing City to Star Wars, or Castle to Star Wars, etc, etc. It's an entirely different theme with an entirely different budget, and most likely an entirely different team of designers too. And while I do agree with your comment, I mean, I too think they're kind of lame and just uninteresting, I also don't really care about them or bat an eye at them because they don't affect Star Wars as an actual theme at all, because they're their own theme. This next one comes from Jack Forrest. He says, hot take video number 9 of commenting that the 2007 MTT is overrated, and other than the size, the 2014 looks way better. I really can't put my finger on it, but something looks off about the 2007 MTT. Love your videos, by the way. And thank you for the kind words at the end there. But as for your comment goes, I do not think the 2014 MTT is better than the 2007 one. I do have to say, I think the 2014 one is kind of underrated and got too much hate, and that's really because the 2007 one set a pretty, in words, unachievable standard for the 2014 model, so it was kind of like any remake was just inevitably gonna be worse, and that was the case with the 2014 one. It's a solid set, but a lot of people just hated it because they were comparing it to the 2007, and while I do think the 2014 one is underrated and deserves more love, the 2007 one is obviously still better. But now comparing the 2007 one with the 2025 one that released this year, that's an entirely different story. I do actually think the new 2025 one is aesthetically a lot better looking. Anyways though, this last one comes from Sergeant Chris Briggs. He says, hot take, the 2009 Anakin's Y-Wing is an overrated set, and I would have preferred a standard Clone Wars Y-Wing with clone pilots. And thank you so much for saying this, because I've been saying this for years. I never understood why they made the Clone Wars Y-Wing Anakin's Y-Wing and not just a standard Republic Y-Wing with clone troopers. It just felt so unnecessary to include Anakin and Ahsoka because we already had those figures from the previous year, 2008. So like you, I really would have preferred some clone troopers instead with this set. And I mean, don't get me wrong, the model still looks really good. It's really beautiful and ahead of its time for 2009. It's just still, to this day, always been a weird choice to me from LEGO that they decided to include Anakin and Ahsoka and not a clone pilot. So yeah, I 100% agree with your comment, and I'm really happy I'm not alone on this one. Anyways though, guys, that's gonna do it for this week's episode. As always, if you have any hot takes or controversial opinions about LEGO Star Wars, make sure to go ahead and drop them down in the comments below if you want to be featured next week. If you're new, please consider subscribing, and if you want to check out more of my videos, you can see them on the screen right now.